Thank you. It's a great picture. So that's Dove Lake, for those of you who know Tasmania, with Cradle Mountain in the background, and well, this little person in a boat in the lake, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. When I was invited to speak at this year's conference, I was both nervous, heads up, still am, and excited. What topic would I choose? What experiences would I share? What shoes would make an impact? I felt validated in my passion for culture and eager to share my insights. I've been passionate about culture for some time, but it took me a little while to recognise this. My background's in IT, yes, you can all universally groan. So in my early career, I was quite task-focused, really good at delivering outcomes, just not necessarily with people. It wasn't until I was consulting that I discovered the true power in an organisation. I got to a point that within an hour of being in a business, I could pretty accurately predict whether they would be open to our recommendations or not. I was always really surprised and delighted by the passion and talent of the people I met, and also somewhat surprised at how often that was unrealised or even blatantly ignored. My consulting led me to a business like no other I had ever come across before. So when they asked me to stay and implement all of my recommendations, and there were a few, I said yes. I was curious. Why was this business so different? Why were they so receptive to different ways of working, different ideas? Why were they open to the new versus protective of the old? Was it because they were in New Zealand? They're a little different over there. Or was it because they were openly values-based and had embedded it in their DNA? It was there that I discovered the power of people, united by a goal and inspired to be more. But culture still wasn't a word in my vocabulary. It wasn't until 2007, post-child, as a general manager in a very different business, in a very different industry back in Australia, when my managing director asked me to take on a new role, a new GM role, that included HR. As you can probably tell by my facial expression, I wasn't exactly excited by this opportunity. For me at that point in time, HR homogenised people management, and that was something I certainly didn't feel qualified or even inclined to do. But it convinced me that A, I could do it, and B, I could de-homogenise. The opportunity to do exactly that presented pretty quickly. We had a significant incident. An independent review was commissioned, and one of the key findings of that review was that organisational culture was a significant contributing factor. The path was set. Myself and recently appointed OD manager developed an organisational culture strategy and plan for the board. And as part of that plan, we identified that leadership is a critical enabler. And as a result, I got to participate in and receive my first ever leadership impact results. This was a defining moment for me. I found that my impact, that I choose my impact either intentionally or not. And then when it comes to organisational culture, leadership, my leadership was as important as any other organisational construct. With this newfound knowledge and insight, my leadership radically changed. Not overnight. There were tears, but it radically changed. And so too did my business unit's culture. But that was then, and I've got a conference topic to choose. But how did I end up as CEO at Aurora Energy? Aurora Energy is an energy retailer focused solely on Tasmania and participates in the national energy market. It's a tough industry in an even tougher political climate. We employ more than 200 passionate Tasmanians who do a phenomenal job providing gas and electricity retail services to every home and the large majority of businesses in our island state. But we actually shouldn't exist today. Aurora Energy was being actively sold, and how my appointment came to be is that when the sale was abandoned, I was recruited with the remit to stand up Aurora Energy as a standalone energy retailer with a for sale sign on the front door. The people in the organisation at that time, this is 2014, had been or were on a notice of redundancy. All of the current executive were leaving, and a whole new executive was being recruited, myself included. And it was really clear that the business that it was certainly couldn't be the business to take it forward. A massive transformation was required. As a freshly minted CEO, culture's where I started. I knew the power of people. Culture is what makes magic happen, and from the moment I walked in the front door, I knew I was going to need all the help I could get. We did our first culture test in 2014, and the results showed that we had quite a strong, passive, defensive culture. Our primary style was avoidance, our secondary style was conventional. Not surprising, all things considering. But there was also some good signs of blue. I made a promise to the organisation that Aurora Energy would be a great place to work, that we would grow and develop together, that we'd achieve great outcomes for our customers, even though we were still a business for sale. It was going to be tough, but we were excited, we were committed, and we were energised, pun intended. We did our first culture retest in 2016, and wow, we made some massive gains. Our primary style was now humanistic, encouraging, over the 50th percentile. Talk to one of the accredited HS people if you're wondering what that is all about. But alongside that, we had met, and actually more often than not exceeded, every single financial and operational performance target we had set. We had defied the odds. We had exceeded everyone's expectations, the board's, our shareholders, and our own. We'd been purposeful in our actions, and the organisation had responded. But what about this elusive conference topic? Well, as it so happens, my final topic was due to Human Synergistics at the same time as our 2018 culture retest results landed. Now, we didn't expect the same levels of gains that we'd made in 2016. It'd been a pretty tough couple of years. But the business was still performing really well, and on the surface, it felt okay. Everyone was friendly, working hard. The results weren't great. They were bad. All those gains we'd made in 2016, they were gone. And the results showed, the second retest results showed, that our culture was even more passive, defensive than when I had started 4 years prior. And those good signs of blue were now little glimmers. Yes, you heard that right. Under my leadership as CEO, the culture was now worse. As you probably can sense, this was somewhat epic for me. I'd made a promise that Aurora Energy would be a great place to work, and the results showed it was anything but. I felt I'd let them down. Up until then, I'd been really confident in my ability to successfully lead culture change. And out of all the measures in my organisation, the one I choose to measure my performance, to do my self-assessment, is culture. Many F words came to mind. Fraud and failure in the main. So I went back to Human Synergistics and I said, look, I completely understand and appreciate if you no longer want me to present at this year's conference. I mean, seriously, who wants to be trapped in the recital hall listening to the insights of someone who's proven that they're all moot? And yet, here we are. So what went wrong? So what went wrong? So my topic for today's conference isn't one chosen by me, but one chosen by the circumstances that I found myself in. Not one of success, but a story, my story, to demonstrate just how challenging culture change can be. And that even when you're a really confident leader, it will test your leadership courage. It'll test your courage to face into what your organisation is telling you. It'll test your courage to actually listen, to accept, and to act on it. Preparing for today, whilst I've tried to get my head around what the results were telling me, has been one of the most challenging things I have ever done, shoes included. So what went wrong? Why was I so blindsided by the results? And how did a CEO so focused on the culture make the culture worse? Now, these are really, really great questions, and I don't necessarily have all the answers as yet, but I knew I needed to find out, because the people who had joined Aurora Energy with hope, excitement, skill, conviction, and a whole host of other talents were telling me that the Aurora Energy they experienced was nothing like what I experienced. And I can tell you now, certainly nothing like anything I had ever imagined. So let me tell you about Aurora Energy in 2018. We're recognised within the community for our strong community focus. We're recognised nationally for our great work with vulnerable customers. We're continuing to meet every one of our performance measures except culture and engagement. We have a Net Promoter Score of +40, +49 just last month. We're meeting all our profitability targets. We're delivering really strong returns to our shareholder. We're meeting all of our regulatory compliance obligations, and there is a lot of those. And we're delivering significant programs of work under budget and before time. I have a really engaged and committed leadership team who are as passionate about this business as I am. We measure our leadership impact annually. Yes, I may have a constant battle with that perfectionistic segment. But on the whole, we've got masses of blue and very little red or green. All good on the face of it. But over the last 18 months, we have really felt the weight of the challenges of our industry. More than a third of our workforce has been actively involved in a significant national regulatory reform. It's been tough. People have left in not great circumstances. Our smallness and capability gaps have become like chasms. We've all had to lean in and work really, really hard. And as things got more challenging, we've had to make some really tough decisions, really tough choices. Choices like suspending leadership programs. Product deployments have had to be delayed. And as if we weren't busy enough, it became abundantly clear that our business strategy had to be completely rethought because the current one was for a different business in a different climate. So that's us. Some challenges, but also some good results. So what went wrong? How did we lose our way? And where do you start as a leader when your confidence is totally blown? The first thing I had to do was share the results. I had to find the words, I had to articulate. Results are disappointing, I'm sorry, and where to from here? And I had to do that whilst I was trying to get my head around what my organisation was telling me. I felt I had to provide the solution to a really complex calculus problem that I just couldn't even comprehend. I've never been particularly good at calculus. We did the human thing. Thought about blaming it on the tools. Survey's too long, instruments far too complicated, etc., etc. But seriously, how can you claim the gains in 2016 and then when you get an adverse outcome in 2018, suddenly it becomes the tool's fault? I don't think so. I'm not proud of this, but on one level I wanted it to be true. So with a lot of help, I shared the results and I shared my personal disappointment that I hadn't delivered on my promise. My board was insightful. Culture isn't linear, Beck, it's a journey. Maybe HS should have asked them to present today. And once I took full accountability for how things actually are at Aurora Energy, I started listening. And what I started to discover is in our busyness to deliver, we had left our people and their needs behind. They felt unrewarded, they felt unrecognised and undervalued. They felt our policies and procedures were for our benefit, not theirs. They felt we took all the glory and they delivered all the hard work. When I talked about our achievements, they thought they were mine, not theirs. When I thanked them for all their amazing, amazing work on these significant projects, they thought I didn't value business as usual. And when I talked about pride, they thought I was forcing them to be proud, and they weren't. We lost their trust. What they heard and what they experienced was incongruent. So even though everyone was really friendly, everyone was working really hard, and everything seemed okay, our passive defensive culture meant they weren't comfortable, they didn't feel safe to tell it how it really was. And so what the second retest did, gave them a voice to safely share what they really thought, what they were really experiencing, and how things really were at Aurora Energy. It's taken me a little while, but I am genuinely thankful for the secondary test results. I now have a far deeper appreciation for what's meant by the statement that the biggest challenge in culture change is the culture. Thanks, DB and Rob. I now realise it's a gift that I have the courage to embrace in all its fluoro greenness glory. And as challenging as they were, it's now proven to be this amazing opportunity. This opportunity for us to re-engage and together reimagine how things work around here. And the timing couldn't be better. We've got this new business strategy, and it just so happens that we need to completely rethink our operating model. And this has given us a platform to do exactly that. And it's given me the confidence to know that no one's particularly wedded to the current one. So where to from here? We recommit, we restart, we re-engage. I'm still a really engaged CEO, but my purpose is renewed. My eyes and ears are well tuned. I'm listening for what's really going on around here. I'm asking questions that are meaningful. I'm communicating, not about what I want to tell them, but about what they want to know. I'm taking the opportunity that the second retest has given me to really dial up my leadership. I'm clearer on my expectations of myself and of my broader leadership team. We have a stronger sense of shared purpose, not just about the what, but the how. Our continuing goal at Aurora Energy is for every day to be rewarding, where everyone feels valued and challenged, where we may achieve amazing things for our customers together as an awesome team and something that our community is proud of. But more importantly, I want Aurora Energy to be something that each of us individually is proud of as well. So my commitment to them, my commitment to culture, my commitment to my own leadership is renewed. My courage still wavers. The disappointment of the second retest results still lingers. But I know with courage and commitment, I'll be a better leader. And more importantly, Aurora Energy will be a far, far stronger organisation that will deliver an even greater positive impact on our community. If nothing else, the new shoes are awesome. Thank you.